Hello, everybody. I'm Christian, the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And I know I say this at every episode. You guys can love today's guest. How often do you come across somebody who opened not just one, two, or three, but 60 restaurants and bars all over the world? She's absolutely amazing. You guys going to fall in love with you. And we're going to meet her right after this. Hello again, my name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Entrepreneur Show, and I'm really excited for you guys to meet today's guest. She is amazingly good at what she does. She started out in the hospitality industry, knew that there was a need for leadership, became a leadership expert, opened up restaurants all over the world, is a consulting, she's a hospitality expert. She's everything we want to be. And her name is Michelle. So Michelle, thanks for being here today at the Disruptive Entrepreneur Show.
Oh, thank you so much. You know what? I think it makes you think. You think, oh God, that's me. But yeah, it is me. I don't know how I got you, but that is me. So thank you very much, Christian, for having me today.
So I'm really excited for this conversation. And, the audience knows there was a point for us where we went out and said, we need to find some new talent and some new interesting people we can bring to them and learn from. And yours was one of the names we always came across. And then what we like to do, we kind of like to, professionally stalk you for a few weeks, what you actually do. And the more we learned about you, the more we realized we need to have you on the show because our listeners will absolutely love what you have to say and how you look at hospitality, how you look at leadership, and how we kind of bring it all together. And how does somebody open up 60 restaurants? I have a friend of mine who can even run one, How do you do 60 of them? So before we start, tell everybody a little bit where you're calling in from, what do you currently do, and how did this whole thing start?
Well, my name is Michelle Moreno. I am calling in from London today, and it's very sunny here. And I now have a company called QAB Leadership, where we help entrepreneurs and founders and leadership teams develop their strategies to move their businesses forward. And essentially what I do is I help people ride uncertainty and step out of urgency. Sure. And we do that collaboratively using different tools to move it forward. But I started off, right at the bottom and worked my way up through the ranks. And so I was a terrible waitress, really, looking back at it, but it got me exactly where I am today.
I love that. So tell everybody, where did the passion for hospitality come from?
I think as soon as I joined the industry, I worked for a very progressive American company here in London back in 1999, and it was a different scene then. And I think everything I came from a very working class background in Wales.
Yep.
I didn't know any of this. The first week I was training and they sent me to go and it was like part of learning about wine. And I had to go and find these 5 bottles of red wine. And I was in every fridge looking for them. And I didn't know red wine wasn't refrigerated. And I think that the amount of information that was going to be shared, the amount you could learn aspirationally, a life I didn't know existed, how it was. Then the people were mad, crazy, wild, like I liked. And I just saw the opportunity and I saw how much fun it was. And I could see everything you could learn fast. Mm-hmm. And that pace, that energy, just excited me. And I'd come from a performance background, and it was just a performance every single night to a different audience or many audiences.
So true. So you in this, you started out, you said you were a waitress, so you did some other things. At what point did you know what? I need to do something else because I can serve people in a much bigger way doing something else. How did that come about?
I think life naturally took me there. My stepson at this point, who lives with us, was 4 years old. And I'd been on a plane for many, many years, traveling, every 10 days I was on a plane somewhere else, or going back and forth to our offices from Dubai to London and going around the Middle East. And I think I was exhausted. at that part of my life. And COVID came, and it just gave me an opportunity, which I think it has done for many of us, to go, what am I going to do? And I got lost at the beginning of it. I think I was a bit disheartened by hospitality. I thought I was going to do women leadership out of the industry.
Yeah.
And then I realized that it's not as much fun, other industries, compared to hospitality, and who I know and who my connections are it. And like always, there was an opportunity. We had a recruitment crisis globally, or we have a recruitment crisis globally. And I believe most of that is of our own doing, and leadership can play a key part in that. So there is a problem to be fixed.
Yeah.
My job constantly when we grew the company was, where needs growing, or where's a problem that needs to be solved, and I would step in, go in and do that part. So it was shifting and transferring a load of skills I already had with the knowledge I already had, and an opportunity that needed to be fixed, and I could do it. And it's evolving. What I thought it was going to be 3 years ago to what it is now is different. And I hope that changes, because the world is agile, I'm agile, the industry is agile. So that's where we're at to.
I love that. And for me, I feel the way you do. COVID didn't happen to me, it happened for me, because it allowed me to do something I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it's amazing talking to as creative and successful people like you, because we all kind of in the same thing. And I absolutely love that. So leadership, how did you know that leadership is your thing? Because leadership looks different from any point of view, and also at any level in the hospitality industry. Where did you realize that leadership was your niche?
Well, I think at times, like everything, my strength and my weakness was leading teams. So when I was at my best, where I was happiest, where I excelled, was when I was doing it great. And when I was stressed and when I was overwhelmed, I was doing it appallingly. Like at times when we were so busy, I was like a Ferrari going down a motorway, and the whole teams were like cans behind me trying to keep up. And I'd done a lot of work on my own development to raise my own self-awareness, to raise we can tell I ain't shy, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing, and I had to learn emotional regulation, the impact of me on other people. We used to do Zoom calls every Monday internationally with the teams. And I found out at a later stage that they would know how the week was going to be with how I was on that Monday call. So if I was like, woo woo, inspirational Michelle, everybody knew it was going to be a good week. If I came on, with shit needing to be done, everybody knew what the week was going to be. And learning about myself made me realize that the impact I have as a leader determines whether people flourish, whether people thrive, whether the business flourishes, whether the business thrives. And so I started with doing work on myself. And then once I realized that education, that information, I could now share with other people, and that leadership could be one of the elements, because there's many elements that can help our industry, but could be a strong component for our businesses to develop and for our people to be more equipped and more happy. And
I love that. And, you make it sound simple. You said, I just worked on myself. I honestly believe more people need to recognize that, because if you want circumstances to change and you want to get better, you need to get better. Yeah. And I love that you took that as an opportunity and said, I do something else. So 60 restaurants, you do leadership. What are some of the common, I don't want to say shortfalls, but opportunities are when we talk about leadership?
Well, I think communication is key. And I think we have so many strong characters in our industry that some of the more thoughtful, introverted characters don't get their voice out, and they're the ones with the answers.
Yep.
At times more helpful. And so I think the opportunity is to be able to create more diverse thinking and not group thought. We as an industry, whichever country I've gone to, whichever language they're speaking, we do it the same way. So I ain't worried if somebody drops me into Spain and everybody's speaking Spanish. We all do it exactly the same the same way. And so the opportunity is that if we can create this diverse thought, if we learn to communicate, if we can have teams around us that can give us critical feedback, up, down, left, right, so that leaders do know that they need to. I think that's where I was very lucky. I worked in a place where people could say, not on at the moment, whichever level they were. And there's the opportunity for us to be able to grow and develop and emotionally mature as an industry.
Mm-hmm. It's so good because when people dive into your content, and I encourage our listeners to learn a little bit more about you, because not just your career is amazing. I like the way you look at things, and you talk a lot about self-leadership. So define self-leadership for us, and why is it's so important, especially in the hospitality industry?
Well, I think we always think about leadership in terms of hierarchical or power or being responsible for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And until you understand yourself as a leader, you're good, the bad, the ugly, and always knowing that you need to have curiosity and ongoing learning, you can never be the leader of other people to the greatest extent. So self-leadership is about understanding who you are, understanding how you fit in the jigsaw, understanding what's the best you can deliver and offer, and what do you need to learn. And also, I think self-leadership is about hierarchy doesn't make a leader at all. Like, I probably was naturally a leader from the moment I started out as a terrible waitress, because I have an opinion. Now, that doesn't mean that that's a great example of a leader. So I think there's understanding that self-leadership happens in any time of your career. I have a wonderful book called Impact Players by Liz Wiseman.
Yeah, I love that.
One of her points is, you've got to step up and be there, wherever you are in your career, turn up and, show yourself. So I think that's a key part of self-leadership. What are you doing to move things forward? No one's coming for you. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to learn about it?
Okay.
And I think the final part of self-leadership is just that it's not what we think classically leaders look like. Like the more self-thinking leaders, and I have a real annoyance with the term confidence, because I think confidence is what I look like, a loud, extroverted person. That's not what we need. We need competence. So how do we understand in self-leadership that it doesn't matter what type of personality character you are, it's about competence, dedication, consistency, and hard work. That's what moves you forward.
I love the content you have out there, and you talk a lot about how you show up in the industry, and you also how you show up for others. And in one of the recent articles you had, you talked about networking and the importance of networking and connecting with people. Can you talk to us a little bit what that looks like in the hospitality industry and how it led you to be successful?
I came to it very late in my career, like during COVID times. I lived in a bubble of the community. I think hospitality has these bubbles of community around the world. Yeah, and we don't sort of step out of them at times, especially as a woman.
Yeah.
And I realized when COVID came that if I was going to go into this world, I needed to create a bigger network than I had, and so I began studying, what does networking mean? How do you increase visibility? What does community mean? How do you become service to other people? And then people are kind. People are kind. And I think I didn't realize that networking helps you grow in your career, helps you learn from other people. And there are a lot more, especially the generation. I think the generation coming through want more than they want before. So
yeah, I love that, because I don't think necessarily that they want more. They want for them, they have different levels of importance to things. Because the things what important to you and I, our generation, is different than the new generation coming in.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And in terms of networking,
Mhm.
what can help is that it doesn't necessarily need to be about career growth.
Mhm.
But you're interested in sustainability. There we go. Say that slowly.
Yeah.
It's that you're interested in mental health within our industry. We have the Burnt Chef project that we are massive supporters of. Chris coming out of the UK, that's over in North America as well. And it just gives people the opportunity to be more engaged than they might have been previously, and the added addition of being able to grow, collect mentors, see from other people, and exactly what you said, see that other people are doing it and you can too.
I love that. I love that. So what do you think from your perspective with as many people as you work with and what you see in the industry? What are some of the current problems which that our industry at large needs to face?
I don't think our P&L measures the right things. The P&L is the same, exactly the same all over the world. And until we measure that, we do staff cost. And so everybody knows what that is, but
Yep.
we don't measure on a P&L how much it costs to recruit someone, how much we cost by losing people. And until that measurable is there for people to understand, I think we're always going to have a challenge moving forward. The problems everyone else has is what I was saying earlier. Everyone's living in urgent. Everyone's living in reactive. And we have to understand, how can we step, pause, think, and not be reactive in our responses. And that's understanding each other and listening to each other and communicating with each other and genuinely just slowing down to get collaborative so we can move forward stronger. And I think there's a fear. I think we're living, with the recruitment fear, the cost of living crises, the costs of everything. How are we actually, we all know, unless you're in hotels, restaurants and bars are hard to make money in. And that amount is shortening. And that pressure.
Any business, yeah.
Yeah. And that pressure on people. And so they do what they've always known to do, which is cost control, because that's what I know. But we know that's strangling the business.
I love that when you talk about this, because do you think it's an industry thing or is it a generational thing? Because I hear this all the time. If a restaurant is struggling, the first thing is we need to cut back. Yeah. And I always use the example. We have a restaurant we order out from quite often here in the office. And I can just tell the way the product showed up. The napkins were different. The, lesser quality. It didn't come in a bag. It didn't come labeled. And for me, that's what makes me come back, because that's what set you apart. And now you let cost get in the way. There's other ways of saving cost.
Yeah.
Then, buying 10,000 napkins at $1.50 cheaper is not going to make an impact. So talk to us a little bit. Do you feel is it a generational thing or is it an industry thing?
I think it's both, if I'm honest. I think we are, we're humans, so we run by systems, so we follow the same systems we always have done. We know we can see fast results. Yeah. Cost control and having faith, investment, or looking at other areas. Sometimes you think people aren't necessarily, unless they're a founder, they're in the business to protect that business for that moment in time. They're not necessarily there for long term. So they just want to go back on their monthly report and say, this is what we've done.
I love that. That's a really great way of looking at it. And I also like what you just said, because there's different levels of interest in that place. And you also always talk about authentic leadership, showing up for others. So talk to us a little bit how you feel that importance of connection is, because I honestly feel as a society, we over-connected yet under-related. How do you work with your clients on that to bring back that real authentic connection you talk about?
Teach the founders, the entrepreneurs, the biggest characters in the room, the highest paid person to listen. And then listen some more. And then deep listening, the skill to deep listening is you listen, then you ask questions to further understand the listening, then you confirm back what they said, and then you ask them, did you get it right? And it's not about your opinion, and it's not about a story from you at the past, and it's not about you giving them advice. And that is the key to connection.
I love that what he said, because that whole principle is called the imago therapy thing, where you kind of repeat back if there's nothing. I love that, because I think we need to do more of that, because as business owners, and I'm sometimes guilty of that. When I get a question from my team, in my mind, I know I get these questions often. I know exactly what the response is without really thinking about it. And so I sometimes need to catch myself. So can you give me a little bit more context before we talk about that? But I love that. And for me, I love the way you look at this. For you, you look at this so different. It's not structure. It's not principle. It's not that, it's a combination of all. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this is a people business.
Yeah.
And you talk a lot about taking care of the people which, provide the care and doing the service for you. And what I love about when you talk about it, you can see that you talk about from experience it, because you won their shoes, you were the server, and you said the first thing, I wasn't the greatest, but for me, I think that's the key to your success, and that's why you're so good in what you do, because it comes across genuine, it comes across natural, it comes across that you invested more in me than I'm invested in myself. Because when somebody communicates to me, I was like, I just need to level up a little bit more, because she expects a lot more than what I expect out of myself. And I'm
I believe in people. So
Mhm.
that's it. I believe they can be more. And that's scary for them, but I have faith.
That's awesome. So where do you think, what is your future for the hospitality industry? What do you think, or what do you would like to see happening in the industry?
I think the future's bright. I think we're always going to need our industry. I think previously our industry was about creating memories. Currently, I think our industry is about escapism. People need to escape away from the now. Yeah, and
Mhm.
we talk about this as well when we're going into, even when you think people have got loads of money, they might have a nice car, nice bag, nice watch. Everyone's cash is reduced, so everyone is more aware. So I think there's a positive opportunity for us to understand that we are a safe haven, as we've always
Mhm.
been, for people. And I believe there's more and more of us, and because of technology opportunities, and because we're getting better at sharing information and new ideas, I
Mhm.
think. And anybody who was a bit like have blind spots, you asked about generational earlier, so I call them blind spots of certain
Mhm.
ages in certain ways. They will retire.
Yeah.
And so the people who don't want to retire and are still being disruptive, there you go, Christian, and it's still, moving things forward, are going to stay in the game because they love it, and the people who are tired and, oh God, it's the same slog, they will retire, and they did a brilliant job and it's lovely.
Yeah.
So I think a new way forward and a fresher idea and a more continue to be progressive as an industry. It's tough. That's life. But I like tough.
Mhm.
Start enjoying problems. I welcome to hard work. It makes you feel good.
And my dad always said it builds character,
Yeah.
and it keeps you out of trouble, because if you work, you have no time to do something stupid. And it's so true. So I love what you said in the beginning. You started what is called QAB, your organization. So help our audience understand a little bit more of what that is and how you serve your community and your clients.
Well, QAB Leadership, we work very bespokely. So
Mhm.
I think there's that book, isn't it? Jim Collins, Good to Great. I
Mhm.
work well with companies that are already good, and then we're going to help you create the space to be great. You want to be great, you have the capability to be great. I'm going to help you create the space, the facilitation, and the tools to get to great.
Mhm.
And we do that through several different ways. I work with a lot of people on monthly retainers. So I feel part of the team
Yep.
feel like I'm part of the team. And then we do a lot of workshopping, strategy building, accountability pieces, then one-on-one coaching, and then specific leadership skills training as well. We do one-off workshops as well about leadership skills, though they normally build into relationships. I like working with people on long term to support them on their
Mhm.
growth. I'm an added benefit. I'm a safe space. So where people need to get things off their chest, instead of it becoming a big thing, I can absorb it, help them have skills to be able to build that resilience and move it forward. So it's not such a bumpy ride. And then on top of that, I'm doing more public speaking now because I want to get the message out, and I want women to see that you can be a leader in our industry. And if I'm not there showing myself, this is what it can look like, people don't know. I was the only woman in a room for many, many board meetings, and I want that to.
Yeah, listen, that needs to change.
Yeah.
I think, and it's a very male-dominated industry, and I think that's why we, just get it done. Just get it done, because I think that's a male human trait, and I think we need more of that emotional intelligence from the female side and from the feminine side in our industry. I think that's really what's going to drive us forward. So
Yeah.
if anybody wants to know more about what you do, how can they learn more about you? How can they find out about you?
Well, you can come and get some insights. I write daily on LinkedIn on London time, so GMT time at 9 a.m. every morning on LinkedIn. And they can be funny stories, their leadership skills, their what's going on. But my goal is that if I'm going to learn about something, you can learn about it too. So you can come and find me there, or on Instagram, so Michelle Moreno on LinkedIn, QAB Leadership on Instagram. Instagram, you get to, on the stories, you get to know a bit more about my life, because I'm a very open book. What you see is what you get. So it's more like a little, my own little TV show for my mum and dad, I always say.
I encourage our listeners to check out your article, because if now that I know you, when even before that, now when I think back of the ones I read, I can hear you say it, because it's so. I love that it comes across. It's absolutely amazing. So our listeners, you guys need to go out there and check it out. It's absolutely amazing. So before we wrap it up, we have a little segment we call Rapid Fire Question Food Service Edition. Are you open to play this with us?
I love playing. Let's go.
Awesome. So we have the latest and greatest questions here from my team. 25 questions, the way the process works. You give me a number between 1 and 25. I read out the question, and then we ask a rapid fire answer. So are you ready for that?
Yes.
Give me a number between 1 and 25.
3.
3. If given the power, what food should be banished from existence forever?
I love everything. I like rubbish too. Oh, I don't. Coffee. No, that's terrible, because I can't drink it myself. So I always feel jealous of everybody else enjoying the delights of it. But I would ruin the world. That would be
Oh
it.
my
But
God. I love that.
only because I can't enjoy it myself.
Yeah, we love all kinds of food too. And today, a little side note, Grant Cardone sent us donuts this morning for the office. We were surprised that he sent us donuts, but we had more donuts than we can eat. So take
I'm
them, otherwise
jealous.
we're going to eat them all. Another number between 1 and 25.
17.
17. Oh, what food would you choose to survive on a desert island with, and something you could have unlimited supply on?
Oh, chicken. Like, it's versatile. I'll be able to do lots of different things with it. I can, I'd be able to eat it. Though, if it can be like a twist on food as well, tea. I drink about 20 cups of tea a day. I'm very British. So
I
I
love that.
go with 2.
Next number between 1 and 25.
24.
24. Oh, what is the weirdest food request you have ever gotten from a customer?
What is the weirdest food request? I don't think I've ever had anything really weird. I think it would be more of like it's cultural, so they've asked for something that I should know that I wouldn't have understood what
Okay.
it was, it's, or a combination of something that I've just thought wouldn't have gone together. But I can't think of anything that anyone's ever actually asked me that was like
So,
odd.
number between 1 and 25.
Number 1.
Number 1, if you could be any kitchen gadget, what would you be and why?
Oh, I think I'd want to be like a mixer. because that's what I do. What's the
Why
fancy
am I
one
not
called?
surprised? Why am I not
What's
surprised?
the fancy one called that everyone has in their kitchens?
Like a Vitamix or something like that,
Yeah,
or the KitchenAid.
like I want I want high tech. I want loads of tools. Yeah, I want to be in the mix of everything, and I want to do pastas. I want to do breads. I want to do that.
I didn't expect anything else. That's awesome. Okay, last question between 1 and 25.
10.
10. Ooh, who is one chef you would never want to have a cook-off against, and why?
Gordon Ramsay,
Why not?
because I don't like the way he puts himself on the telly. Though I'd like to go on a TV show with him on how to open a restaurant, and you do it your way, and I'll do it my way.
Oh my God, I love that. Oh, I love that. But
Taking away from his talent, I just don't like the whole TV persona. Though,
yeah,
and he's too good a cook.
he is. So awesome. With that completes a rapid fire question food service edition. Thanks for playing. You were a fabulous guest, and we will send some gifts your way. So with that, what is a final word of wisdom for you to our listeners?
The way we lead impacts the way people live.
I love that. I love that.
And we really got to know that we have a responsibility to look after people, and they impacts their lives, impacts their surroundings, impacts their environment, impacts their community. And we have a gorgeous hospitality industry that we can do more with to make that better.
I love that. And to our listeners, go back 15 seconds and listen to this again. This is amazing life advice. I really appreciate it. Miss Michelle, thanks for being here today. Thanks for playing Rapid Fire Questions, Food Service Edition. We really appreciate the gift of your time. Thanks for sharing so freely. And to our audience, if you haven't done so, make sure you guys check her out. Also, if you haven't done so, make sure you sign up for the Disruptive Chef Club, which is our private community. If you want to have some additional content, some behind the scene glimpses, go over there and get yourself a front row seat. So with that, Michelle, I really appreciate it. Thanks for being here. We need to do a
Yeah, and I
2.0
love
of this.
you.
It was
Thank
really,
you.
really awesome. So merely means the world for us. And I know a lot of our listeners are going to go and come and check you out because it's amazing the stuff you do in the industry. So with that, thank you. Until next time, remember to disrupt your kitchen, fire up your career, stay hungry for change. I'm Christian, your Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur host. I'm signing off. That means Miss Michelle and I, we are out of here. So with that, be the change, be the challenge, and be the chef who sets the world on fire. Miss Michelle, thanks again. Thanks for calling in. We really, really appreciate it. And that was awesome. And to our listeners, make sure you go out there and be disruptive, everybody. Thanks. We see you at the next episode.